My husband cheated on me with my best friend and got her pregnant. Then I found out I was pregnant too. 6 months later, he wants to reconcile, but I drop a bombshell that changes everything. I never thought I'd be writing a post like this. My world has been shattered, and I'm still trying to make sense of everything that's happened. I'll do my best to give you the full story. I'm Sarah, 28 years old. I've been married to Alex, 30M, for 5 years now. We met during our sophomore year of college at a mutual friend's party. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was struggling to open a bottle of wine, and Alex swooped in to help. We ended up talking for hours that night, discovering we had so much in common. We were both studying business, loved traveling, and shared a passion for volunteering at animal shelters. Our relationship progressed quickly after that. We became inseparable, spending most of our free time together. Alex was everything I'd ever wanted in a partner. Kind, funny, ambitious, and incredibly supportive. He was there for me during one of the toughest periods of my life when my dad passed away unexpectedly during our senior year. My dad and I had always been close. He was the one who taught me to ride a bike, helped me with my math homework, and gave me pep talks before big exams. Losing him so suddenly was devastating. I fell into a deep depression, barely able to get out of bed some days. Alex was my rock during that time. He'd bring me food, help me catch up on schoolwork, and just hold me when I needed to cry. His unwavering support during that dark time cemented my belief that he was the one I wanted to spend my life with. After graduation, we moved in together and started our careers. I landed a job at a marketing firm, while Alex began working for a tech startup. We were both working long hours, trying to establish ourselves professionally, but always made time for each other. We'd have weekly date nights, exploring new restaurants in the city, or having movie marathons at home. 2 years into our relationship, Alex proposed during a surprise weekend getaway. He'd planned a picnic in a beautiful park, and as the sun was setting, he got down on one knee. I was overjoyed and said yes without hesitation. We got married a year later in a small ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. One of those friends was Katie, 27F, my best friend since high school. Katie and I met on the first day of freshman year when we were assigned as lab partners in biology class. We bonded over our shared love of science and our mutual dislike of our grumpy teacher. From that day on, we were inseparable. Katie was there for all the big moments in my life. My first breakup, getting into college, meeting Alex, losing my dad. She was my maid of honor at our wedding, giving a touching speech about our friendship and how happy she was that I'd found Alex. I always thought of Katie as the sister I never had. The first few years of marriage were blissful. Alex and I were both advancing in our careers, we bought our first home together, and we traveled whenever we could. We'd take weekend trips to nearby cities, and once a year we'd go on a bigger international vacation. We went to Japan, explored the beaches of Thailand, and hiked through the mountains in Peru. Life felt perfect. About 2 years ago, we decided to start trying for a baby. We both felt ready to become parents and were excited about this new chapter in our lives. Month after month went by with no luck. At first, we weren't too concerned. We knew these things could take time. But as a year passed with no positive pregnancy tests, we started to worry. We decided to see a fertility specialist. After numerous tests and examinations, I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. The doctor explained that this condition could make conceiving naturally more difficult, but not impossible. She outlined various treatment options, including medication and potential IVF in the future. The diagnosis hit me hard. I'd always assumed having children would be a natural, easy process. Now it felt like my body was failing me. I struggled with feelings of inadequacy and guilt, worried that I was letting Alex down. But Alex was incredibly supportive throughout the whole process. He assured me that we'd figure it out together, whether through fertility treatments or adoption. He'd hold me when I cried after yet another negative pregnancy test, reminding me that we were in this together. Katie was also a huge source of support during this time. She'd come over with ice cream and movies on the tough days, letting me vent my frustrations and fears. She never pushed or asked intrusive questions, just offered a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on when I needed it. As we navigated the fertility treatments, other aspects of our lives continued. I threw myself into work, taking on more responsibilities and eventually earning a promotion to senior marketing manager. Alex's startup was growing rapidly, and he was working longer hours to keep up with the demands. We were both stressed and tired, but I thought we were handling it as a team. Then, a few months ago, I started noticing changes in Alex. He became distant and distracted. He was working later than usual, often not coming home until after I'd gone to bed. When we were together, he seemed preoccupied, constantly checking his phone. I tried to talk to him about it, but he brushed off my concerns, saying it was just stress from work. I confided in Katie about my worries. She listened sympathetically and suggested that maybe Alex was just going through a rough patch at work. She encouraged me to keep the lines of communication open with him, but also to give him some space to work through whatever was bothering him. Looking back, I wonder if there were signs I missed. Was Katie too quick to defend Alex's behavior? Were there moments of tension or awkwardness between them that I overlooked? It's hard not to second-guess everything now. Last week, everything came crashing down. I had been away on a business trip and decided to come home a day early to surprise Alex. I thought maybe we could have a nice dinner together, reconnect a bit. Instead, I walked into our bedroom to find Alex and Katie in bed together. The moment is seared into my brain. The look of shock and guilt on their faces, Katie scrambling to cover herself, Alex stuttering out my name. I felt like I was in a nightmare, unable to process what I was seeing. Katie burst into tears and ran out, while Alex tried to explain. But I couldn't bear to hear it. I grabbed a bag, threw some clothes in it, and left. I've been staying with my mom for the past week, trying to make sense of everything. The full story has come out in bits and pieces. Alex and Katie had been having an affair for the past 6 months. It started as a drunken hookup at a party I missed due to work. They both claimed they felt guilty afterwards, but that didn't stop them from continuing to see each other in secret. The worst part? Katie is now 3 months pregnant with Alex's baby. All those times she was comforting me about our fertility struggles, she was carrying my husband's child. The betrayal is beyond anything I could have imagined. I feel like my whole life has been a lie. The two people I trusted most in the world have betrayed me in the worst way possible. Alex, the man who held me as I grieved my father, who promised to stand by me through our fertility struggles, has been lying to my face for months. And Katie, my best friend since high school, who's been there for every major moment of my life, has been sneaking around with my husband. I'm oscillating between numbness, fury, and devastating sadness. How could they do this to me? Were there signs I missed? Should I have known something was wrong? The questions keep swirling in my mind, but I know I'll never get satisfactory answers. Alex is begging for forgiveness, saying it was a huge mistake and he wants to work things out. He's left dozens of voicemails and texts, pleading for a chance to explain. Katie keeps calling and texting too, saying she's sorry and she'll do whatever it takes to make it right. But I don't see how I can ever trust either of them again. I've contacted a divorce lawyer to understand my options. Thankfully, we don't have any shared assets besides our house. I'm leaning towards selling it and splitting the proceeds. The thought of going back to that house, knowing what happened there, makes me sick. I'm still processing everything and dealing with waves of anger, sadness, and disbelief. I don't know how to move forward from here. How do you rebuild your life after such a huge betrayal? How do I trust anyone again? Any advice or words of wisdom would be greatly appreciated. Update 1. It's been about 2 months since my last post, and I want to thank everyone who offered support and advice. Your kind words and shared experiences have been a lifeline during this difficult time. A lot has happened since I last wrote. The biggest news is that I've officially filed for divorce from Alex. After the initial shock wore off and I had time to really think about everything, I realized there was no way I could stay in this marriage. The trust is completely shattered, and I don't think I could ever look at Alex the same way again. Alex didn't take the news well. He's still trying to convince me to reconcile, saying it was a one-time mistake, which I now know is a lie, and that he wants to make our marriage work. He's been sending flowers to my mom's house, leaving long voicemails about how sorry he is and how much he loves me. But I'm done. No amount of grand gestures can undo what he did. The divorce proceedings have been messier than I expected. Alex is trying to claim that some of my personal savings should be considered marital assets, even though I had that money before we got married. It was an inheritance from my grandmother that I'd been saving for years. My lawyer assures me we have a strong case to keep it separate, but it's frustrating to deal with. We're also fighting over who gets to keep our dog, Max. I've had Max since before Alex and I got together. He was a rescue I adopted during my junior year of college. Max helped me through some tough times, including the loss of my dad. But now Alex is arguing that since he's been the one walking Max more often lately, due to my longer work hours, he should get custody. It feels like he's just trying to hurt me at this point. As for Katie, I've completely cut her out of my life. For weeks after the discovery of the affair, she kept trying to contact me. She'd leave tearful voicemails and send long texts about how sorry she was, how she never meant for any of this to happen. I finally blocked her number. It hurts to lose my best friend of so many years, but I know I can never trust her again. The hardest part of all this has been dealing with our friend group. Most of our friends were mutual, people we'd known since college or met as a couple. Now everyone is taking sides. A few have stayed neutral, saying they don't want to get involved. But I've lost touch with others who seem to be supporting Alex and Katie. It's isolating and makes me angry all over again. These were people who were at our wedding, who've been part of our lives for years. It feels like I'm losing my whole world. I moved out of our house and found a small apartment across town. It's been an adjustment living on my own again, but also freeing in a way. I'm slowly reclaiming my independence and figuring out who I am outside of my marriage. I've been redecorating, trying to make the space feel like my own. It's strange how something as simple as choosing a new bedspread can feel like a big step in moving on. Work has been a welcome distraction through all of this. I threw myself into some big projects, staying late at the office and taking on extra responsibilities. It paid off. I got a promotion last month to marketing director. My boss has been understanding about everything and gave me some flexibility with my schedule for lawyer meetings and therapy appointments. Speaking of therapy, I finally started seeing a counselor to work through all of this. It's been helpful to have an objective person to talk to, someone who can help me process my emotions without judgment. She's been working with me on rebuilding my self-esteem and learning to trust again, not just others, but myself and my own judgment. One unexpected development in all of this. I found out I'm pregnant. I'm about 10 weeks along now. The timing lines up that it must have happened right before I discovered the affair. I'm still processing how I feel about it. Part of me is excited. I've wanted a baby for so long, and after all the fertility struggles, it feels like a miracle. But it's also bringing up a lot of complicated emotions. I'm scared about being a single mother, angry that this joyous news is tainted by everything that's happened. I haven't told Alex about the pregnancy yet. I'm not sure if I want him involved in the baby's life, given everything that's happened. My therapist is helping me work through my options and feelings about this. For now, I'm focusing on taking care of myself and the pregnancy, trying to eat well and stay as stress-free as possible, which is a challenge given the circumstances. Overall, I'm doing better than I was 2 months ago, but it's still a daily struggle. There are still hard days where the anger and sadness feel overwhelming, but I'm starting to see glimmers of hope for the future. I'm rediscovering old hobbies that I'd let fall by the wayside during my marriage. I've started painting again and joined a local book club. I'm reconnecting with family members I'd lost touch with over the years. It's not the life I planned or the future I imagined, but I'm determined to make it a good one. I know I have a long road ahead, especially with the baby on the way, but I'm taking it one day at a time. Update 2. It's been about 6 months since my last update, and once again, a lot has changed. Some for the better, life is complicated. The biggest news is that the divorce was finalized last month. It was a long, draining process, but it's finally over. In the end, I kept my savings and got primary custody of Max. Alex tried to drag things out, arguing over every little detail, but eventually agreed to the settlement when his lawyer advised him he didn't have much of a case. It's a relief to have it done, but also surreal. I never imagined I'd be divorced at 29. I'm now 7 months pregnant with a little girl. The pregnancy has been going well, thankfully. No major complications, though the morning sickness in the first trimester was rough. I did end up telling Alex about the pregnancy when I was about 4 months along. I struggled with the decision, but ultimately felt he had a right to know. His reaction was mixed. He was shocked at first, then immediately said he wanted to be involved. But then he started talking about how this could be our chance to reconcile, how having a baby together meant we should try to work things out. I shut that down quickly. Just because we're having a child together doesn't erase what he did. We're now working on a co-parenting agreement through our lawyers. It's not ideal, but I'm trying to keep things civil for our daughter's sake. We've agreed on a visitation schedule for after she's born, and we're discussing things like education and medical decisions. It's strange to be planning these things with someone I can barely stand to be in the same room with. But I'm doing my best to separate my feelings about Alex from what's best for our child. As for Katie, she had her baby, a boy, about 2 months ago. I haven't seen him and don't plan to. A mutual friend let it slip that she and Alex are still together, which stings more than I'd like to admit. The idea of them playing happy family with their son while I prepare to be a single mother to our daughter is hard to swallow. But I'm working on accepting it and moving on. I can't control their actions, only my response to them. On a more positive note, I bought a small house in a new neighborhood across town. It feels good to have a fresh start in a place that's truly mine, with no memories of Alex or our marriage. I've been nesting like crazy, getting the nursery ready for the baby. My mom has been a huge help with everything, coming over to help paint and assemble furniture. Work is going well. I got another promotion and am now leading my own team. It's challenging but rewarding. My coworkers have been incredibly supportive throughout everything. They threw me a sweet baby shower last week, which was a bright spot in all of this. It was nice to feel celebrated and to focus on the excitement of becoming a mom, rather than all the drama with Alex. I'm still in therapy and making progress. The anger comes and goes. Some days I feel like I've moved on, and others I'm furious all over again. But overall, I'm in a much better place emotionally than I was 6 months ago. I've started dating again casually. Nothing serious yet. I'm not ready for that, especially with the baby on the way. But it's nice to put myself out there, to be reminded that there are good men out there, and that what Alex did isn't a reflection on all relationships. My relationship with my mom has grown stronger through all of this. She's been my rock, letting me stay with her in those first awful weeks, listening to me vent, helping me house hunt and now prepare for the baby. We've always been close, but this experience has brought us even closer. She's excited to be a grandmother and has already bought more baby clothes than my daughter could possibly wear in her first year. I've also reconnected with some old friends from high school and college who I'd lost touch with over the years. It's been nice to rebuild those connections, to remember who I was before I was part of Alex and Sarah. One of my college roommates even flew in for a weekend to help me set up the nursery. It's reminded me that I have a support system beyond just Alex and Katie. As my due date approaches, I'm a mix of emotions. I'm excited to meet my daughter, but also terrified of being a single mom. I'm proud of how far I've come, but still angry about the circumstances that led me here. I'm hopeful for the future, but anxious about juggling work, a newborn, and co-parenting with Alex. I've been attending prenatal classes on my own, which has been both empowering and lonely. Seeing all the couples there together is a stark reminder of how different my situation is from what I imagined. But I'm determined to be the best mom I can be, regardless of the circumstances. Alex has been asking to attend doctor's appointments and be there for the birth. I'm still undecided about this. Part of me wants to share these moments with him. After all, he is the father. But another part of me is still so hurt and angry that I don't want him there during such a vulnerable time. My therapist is helping me work through these feelings and make a decision that's best for me and the baby. Looking back, I never could have imagined my life would take this turn. A year ago, I thought I had it all figured out. A loving husband, a best friend I could count on, a plan for our future. Now, everything has changed, but I'm proud of how I've handled it all. I'm stronger than I ever knew I could be. I'm nervous about the future, about raising a child on my own, about eventually trusting someone enough to let them into my life again. But I'm also excited. I have a beautiful daughter on the way, a job I love, a new home, and a support system of family and friends who have shown up for me in ways I never expected. It's not the family I pictured, but I know my daughter and I will be okay. We'll build our own little family, filled with love and trust. And maybe someday, when I'm ready, we'll add to it. But for now, I'm focusing on healing, on preparing for my daughter's arrival, and on building the life I want for us. Thank you again to everyone who offered support throughout this journey. Your kindness and advice have helped more than you know. I'll update again after the baby is born. Wish me luck.